Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. Good evening. Welcome to the January 10th Mount Vernon City School District School Board meeting. Please stand for the pledge. Do I need to start? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Roll call.
Trustee Kelly. Here. Trustee Njenga.
Here.
Trustee Adesobi. Trustee Gale.
Here.
Trustee Lency.
Here.
Trustee Kerwin.
Here.
Trustee Red. VP White.
Present.
And President Saunders.
Present.
We have our quorum.
Okay, so we're going to go right to communications from the public.
There is no legal requirement to recognize public comment at meetings of the Board of Education. However, the board recognizes the critical importance of community discourse and involvement in the education of Mount Vernon's children, and accordingly, members of the public are invited to speak at each regularly scheduled board meeting, subject to the terms of the board policy. A speaker must register in advance by no later than 4 p.m. the day of the meeting by contacting the district clerk in person at 165 North Columbus Avenue, Mount Vernon, New York, by phone at 914-665-5235, or by email. The board welcomes all respectful comment, whether praise or criticism. However, identifying and criticizing a specific student, parent, teacher, administrator, or other Mount Vernon education official or employee is strictly prohibited. Any such complaint must be presented and addressed through proper administrative channels. Each speaker is allotted 3 minutes to speak. Up to 1 additional minute may be used for the speaker to summarize and conclude their remarks. If appropriate, board trustees and/or the superintendent or other staff members at the direction of the superintendent may immediately respond to a speaker's remarks. Our first speaker tonight is Gerald Dennis.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Joel Dennis. I am thank you so much. I'm the founder and executive director for the Northeast STEM Starter Academy. This marks our 9th year of operation for the services we've been delivering. We've delivered over the 8 years past over 80 different programs about STEM learning. We've covered everything from robotics to technology space to ergonomics, engineering. We've also done a lot of other things as well, robotics, all those kind of things too. So I'm very pleased to report to you things have gone very well. We have lots of work still to do yet. We feel the biggest challenge for our community, though, is oftentimes the disparate outcomes, oftentimes focused on tremendously. But they are an issue and certainly an opportunity to overcome. But the biggest issue, though, is the disparity of input. And we provide our kids with the same resources, the same value add that other kids get from the surrounding communities. We'll see the outcomes change as well. And our goal as an organization, though, is to deliver the highest quality STEM education possible. So we bring in experts and technology leaders to deliver those classes. And we do summer programs. We've done, this is our 8th year last year of our 8th program, summer programs. We had 150 children. We had 180 the year before that, before COVID. We started out with 27 back in 2014 rather, at Benjamin Turner Middle School. And those 7th graders went on to graduate 2 years ago. 2 of those students of ours graduated cum laude and cum laude, both top first and second in their class. Victoria, fantastic students. And we've seen that kind of development, though, over the years. So we're now in our 86th program. What you have in front of you, though, is the program specific to what's coming up in the next several weeks. Last year, we were lucky enough to finally gain the commitment and the energies of Regeneron. Regeneron is a huge company with vast resources and vast capabilities to help many, many people. They committed to us 2 years ago, gave us the first $100,000 to do our first program, which we did then. We're doing our second program coming up in a few weeks, though, and the superintendent approved it just recently. That program will include Saturdays for 14 different weeks, as well as Tuesdays and Thursdays as well, after school, virtually on weekdays, and in school and present on Saturdays. They leave that class with a clear understanding of what science research is all about. As all of you should know, though, Regeneron sponsors the ISEF process program, which awards millions of dollars every year to children around the country and around the world. Up until this year, no Mount Vernon students were actively involved in those programs. I found that to be a crime, and I had to really challenge everything out there to get into the program finally. And they finally endorsed us and embraced us very positively. So now our children have the same opportunity that other children from next door, Scarsdale, Bronxville, Yonkers, have the opportunity to be in the program as well. And we know, though, that they'll be available to the kind of resources, support that every child deserves, though. And that's about STEM education. So we're committed to that. And we hopefully with your support as well in that regard. And we've contributed more than $600,000 over the last 8 years, all raised privately through corporations, through funding resources, Regeneron, for example, legislators, congressmen, things like that as well, all given to us. So we look to really continue that growth, build a science center in Mount Vernon that will allow us to have classes during the day, after school, and weekends, but most importantly, allow us to participate, though, in the world of true science endeavors. So that is where the biggest opportunity financially, learning, and experience can be had. So that's our goal and objective, though. So I thank you for your support, which I know will be forthcoming. And if you have any questions, though, you'll see at the bottom of the sheet I gave you, it's about the science program coming up, as well as the robotic program coming up the month next, as well as a summary of what we've done over the last 8 years. And so if you have questions or concerns, or you want to give us millions of dollars, you can give me a call. I'll pick it up anytime you like, and we can move it from there. So I want to thank the superintendent for allowing me to come in today, and thank all of you for listening as well. Any questions for our last minute, though? Any thoughts or input? Great.
We thank you for doing this.
My
for
pleasure.
a number of years.
Yep.
How successful it has been in the community. So
Yeah.
thank you for wanting to come back to partner with us.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you all for listening as well. Good luck.
Thank you. Okay, next speaker.
Warren Mitchell.
How's everybody doing? Happy New Year. Welcome back. Good to see Brother Gerald in the audience. My son has been with the NISPA programs for 7th and 8th grade. I can testify that it is an incredible program. Gives the students some exposure that they don't normally get. So it's very good. Hoping that we can get something that joins with the school district as well. November 22nd, the board resolved to induct Judge Edwards into the Mount Vernon High School Hall of Fame. You resolved, all of you voted in yes. The ceremony happened, not one of you showed up. Sends a message to the people that were involved and the people who were there that not one of you showed up, even though you all resolved, voted unanimously to put him in that Hall of Fame, which was a great honor. And special shout out to Sister former trustee Brenda Crump for bringing that idea to the table at all, for it to become, something else, what it became. Speaking on focusing, I say that because we need to make sure that we're focused on our children. The reason we're all here and the reason you're sitting in those seats is for the children, for the parents of those children, and the staff in our buildings. And that goes from the teachers, the administrators, the leads, as well as our security officers, our food services, everybody that works in these buildings and take care of our kids. Speaking of buildings, I'm not sure who's on safety. Line 394 in the school budget for 22-23, which you can find the school budget on the city district site. You can click on it, takes you to the whole budget that we approved. Line 394, $276,000 is allocated for SROs in our building, something that was taken away from us several years back. We discussed this matter while I was sitting in one of those seats as a VP and before I was a VP. But yet there's no SROs to my knowledge in any of the buildings. Now, I want to say also on that note, if there's an issue with us getting the clearance or whatever, whatever we need from the mayor to get what we need, then we need to be pushing to get that to happen. If you are the safety chair, you should be doing this, okay? We have enough of us here that we should be, of course, I always keep saying for y'all to visit the buildings, please make sure you're doing what you have to do on your committees, because nobody knows what's going on and who you are, what you stand for, or what you're doing in the building. Right now, I don't even know what else to say right now. I'm going to stop there because the last time I was asked to leave because I said too much or something, right? Remember? But in any event, I still don't see answers to questions. The public really does ask questions, and we need to know answers that we're not getting, okay? When we ask about special education audits, we ask about finances and things like that. We all know that, say, for instance, that $276,000, if it doesn't get moved, it goes down to the fund balance. Those of you who don't know, and everybody at home, all the fans, the millions of fans at home that are watching, the money that gets used that does not get used in the fund budget, Mr. Silver has made it clear to us in board meetings, it goes back to the fund balance. That comes up later on as a question from the people when they say, where did this money go? And these are the questions that the people do not see being answered. Questions that some of you on the board say, oh, we're going to answer that, we're going to answer that, but it never happens. Speaking also, going to talk about shift gears completely. Honor Academy and Leadership Academy, the names were not just changed because it was something to do. We took the names that were associated with those buildings because they had no connection to the children or the teachers in those buildings. We put names on those buildings that represented power, strength, and focus. Honor Academy, we should be looking to pipeline those kids into junior honor society, pipeline those kids into one of the 3 schools of excellence. We have no performing arts school curriculums in our elementary schools. If we do, we should be tailoring those to pipeline those kids into Denzel Washington. The Leadership Academy, Trustee White has mentioned when I first came in, life skills.
Your time is up. Mr.
Okay,
Mitchell.
I'll be back next time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Yuri White.
Good evening, Trustees Sanders and Vice President and Dr. BC and Cabin and City of Mount Vernon people. I'm coming here just to make a little clarity of something that's going through the internet. There was a clipping that I received over the weekend stating that we was in a budget freeze due to the fact of a person that used to work here. So the teachers and the staff and the children is not able to get supplies and stuff because of that. I've been working here for 30 years, and we always go into a budget freeze. It have nothing to do with the past person that worked here. That used to do our grants and stuff. So that needs to be cleared. And their salary never came from our budget. Their salary came from the state. There's fiction and nonfiction books. So we need to focus on the nonfiction that's fiction and make sure we focusing on the stuff that's nonfiction. Don't consider yourself as passing on something that's not true about somebody or something that's happening in this district. A budget freeze have always been like that, and I've been here for 30 years. It have nothing to do with who worked here last and who don't work here and who was doing what in the positions. That's normal for this district. So I just wanted to make clarity on that with you reading things on the internet and people posting things and they foreign it and thinking they have true information on statements that's happening here in the district. I just want to also mention that we are hiring people that's taking tests and passing the test, going into positions. We need to come up with some kind of solution. How do we make sure these people are being trained and being told throughout the time that they are in these positions that they will be able to pass their probation so we can keep them? We are terminating people, asking people to resign, and they never had a fair chance. They never got a chance to train or was taught, and the person that did train them a little bit, they was never trained. So can we just be more considerate and give our people a chance to be able to keep these jobs? Because we laid somebody off the week of Christmas, and it took tears to people that work in this building eyes when they came to us, which was a hurtful feeling, and he had a family. So that bother people when that happens, you know. And I just want to mention that CSCA is coming to the board, and we're looking just to get a fair contract. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Mark Stuckey.
Good evening, board members. Happy New Year's to each and every one of you. My name is Mark Stuckey. I am now an employee of the City of Mount Vernon School District. I would just like to piggyback off what Ms. Yui White was saying about the freeze. The taxpayers need to know that a freeze not only happens here in the City of Mount Vernon, but it happens throughout New York State. And that's so that the school districts can see how their funds are and catch up on what they've been spending. It's something that happens every single year. So those who are writing and posting stories about there's no money here in Mount Vernon School District, this is not true. Stop listening to third sources and trying to figure out if it's true or not, because what's taking place now, we're beating up on people who trying to help put this district together, and we need to stop getting all that false information. The next thing I would like to speak about is $80,000. And I would like to go into executive session to speak to you board members about a savings of $80,000. I'm not going to talk about it out front. I have changed my pitch, my tone, my volume to do things a little bit differently. And by working inside of the district, I've seen a lot of things. If you were to attend the service that you had for Judge Edwards, you would have seen the Hall of Fame I put together. Nope, let me take that back. I worked with several people, took their information, what they was looking for, and put it into a reality. The Hall of Fame is not complete. We have a little bit more to do to it. But as you can see, we made something look a whole lot better than what it was. My thing working for this district is to save money. And I would like to speak to you this evening in exec about a large savings of $80,000. Please, let's have a conversation this evening. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Brother Mike here, who's our cameraman, can we give him an increase? He's going into his pocket now, taking out money to make everything work. As such as I have taken out money out of my pocket that's not been talked about to do the work in this district. Just like a lot of teachers do the same thing. So our staff wants to work, but we need your support. We need you to hear what we're saying. Please have a dialogue.
Thank you.
Thank you. That ends our community comments.
So we're gonna follow up next on the agenda. Oh, she's not on here. Oh. Yeah. Okay, I'm ready to go. Sorry about that. I'm like, we're getting through this meeting fast, right? Forgive me. I thank you.
Thank you, Skinny Man. Good evening, everyone. This is a new year, and I want to say to each and everyone, Happy New Year. To the trustees, the cabinet, and to members of the public. Now, I have a presentation that I want to make tonight, and it's about the scores of our students that took the test from grade 3 to 8, ELA and math. Because people have been asking about it. But before I do that, I want to share a few contemplative reflections from a recent lecture given by the late Dr. Wayne Dreyer, entitled Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life. During the spellbinding 90 minutes I spent viewing this presentation, Dr. Dyer shared thoughts on how we as individuals can change the trajectory on our paths in our lives and in our roles in organizations, but shifting our mindset. If you change your thoughts, you will change your life. He challenged his participants to leave behind and shift from the mindset of ego-centered, controlling participant in the world around us to the mindset of trusting ourselves and others to use our gifts and talents to benefit others. We are all members of the natural setting known as the Mount Vernon City School District. Inasmuch as we have placed ourselves in various roles and departments, we must remove ourselves from our personal thoughts and our own silos and learn to understand that we are all an integral part of every department, school, and child's academic success. How we navigate as individuals in working together is the challenge. Dr. Dyer posits that if we live in a realm of invoking conflict among one another and seeking to control the outcomes of others' lives, the result is rigidity, stagnation, and a lack of trust. We must change our mindset from conflict and interfering to living and leading without interfering and mistrusting each other. He uses a tree analogy. He said, if you take 5 minutes each day and truly see the trees in your surroundings, you will see that their branches are never in conflict with one another. They grow intertwined with each other, not to subdue or constrict, but to bend and flow as the wind gusts, supporting each other and the main trunk. They navigate as a part of the whole, working in unison. If you recall my delivery of my vision and mission, I also use a tree analogy. To move forward in 2023, to do great things, and to make a difference, we must remain flexible and flow with the many challenges that may come our way. We need to refrain from grasping at everything and to focus on a few initiatives. By working together, resolute without conflict, we will continue to grow to greatness. Let us remember that the journey of 1,000 miles began with one small step. So let us take these steps together and build a legacy that we and our young scholars can be proud of. Thank you so much for listening to that, because that was my reflection over the Christmas break. I stayed with my family, who wasn't doing well, and this came to me. Tonight we are going to present on our scholars and how we're going to push them forward. So I'm going to hand over to Dr. Doggett and Dr. Jones. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, trustees, superintendent, cabinet, and member of the community. On behalf of Dr. Bennett Conroy, I have the opportunity to co-present this presentation with Dr. Beverly Jones. We will be presenting the New York State Educational 2021-2022 grades ELA in math and science data. Now, the data has just been released by New York State and placed on the website for review. So what this presentation will give you, it will give you a complete overview, a brief overview of what the scores are for grades 3 to 8 math, ELA, and science. So the first slide that you will see is the demographics of our subgroups. And as you can see, we have several subgroups here in the Mount Vernon City School District. This is not the total number of students, but the total number of subgroups that we have. So as you can see, we have special education, English language learners, Black and African American, Hispanic and Latino, and economically disadvantaged. Please note that several students can fall into several categories. So for example, you can have a Black student who's a special education student who is also an economically disadvantaged. So we're going to begin with the district summary of the grades 3 to 8 data. And as you can see from this slide, what I'll be doing, I'll be introducing our data from Mount Vernon City School District compared to the New York State average. So if you look at the blue bar, that's the Mount Vernon City School District, compared to the orange bar graph, which is New York State average. So the Mount Vernon City School District, we had 89% of our students tested. And out of that 89%, 39% of our students demonstrated proficiency on these exams. And as you can see, if you look next to the orange graph, 47% was the average score for New York State. So as you can see, we're not that far off. And overall, with the COVID slide, we still are parallel in ELA with our scores prior to the pandemic, so we still have work to do, but there are some highlights in some of the data that I will be presenting moving forward. So as you can see, this is our grades 3, 4, and 5 data compared to New York State. Again, Mount Vernon City School District is the blue graph, and as you can see for our grade 3 performance, we performed 43% versus New York State at 46%. So we're right there with the state. Our grade 4, we're at 33% versus the New York State average at 42%. Grade 5, we're at 28% versus the New York State average of 38%. Our grade 6, we're at, 51% as compared to the New York State average of 57%. Not too far off. Our grade 7, we're at 35% versus the New York State average of 48%. And our grade 8 is 43% versus New York State average of 50%. Now, within those grade bands, we want to give you an overview. There are some highlights that I would like to mention at this time. 8 schools have outperformed the New York State average, either overall on specific grade levels. So I will go through that information right now. So if you look at Hamilton School, they outperformed the New York State average for grade 5. Lincoln School outperformed the New York State average in all grades. So Lincoln School outperformed the state in grades 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We can clap for that. Our Mount Vernon Honor Academy outperformed the New York State average in grade 6. The Mount Vernon Leadership Academy outperformed New York State average in grades 3, 6, and 8. Nelson Mandela Jose Zalakoffer School, outperformed the New York State average in grades 3 and 4, and the overall grades 3 through 8 average. And that is because their grade 3 score was significantly higher, which brought the entire average up. Pennington School outperformed the New York State average in grades 3, 6, and 8, and the grades 3 through 8 average because of high scores also in grade 3. Rebecca Turner Elementary School outperformed New York State in grades 3 and 4, and Trapp Pagan outperformed New York State in all grades 3 through 8. So even though we have a long way to go, we still have some pockets of success that we wanted to highlight. And again, we have some brief action steps, which we're not going to go into because this is just an overview of what the data represents. But this slide right here was presented to you on December 6th with Mary Beth. She talked about the action steps for our improving our reading scores. So we're going to have foundations for our grades K to 3. And again, this is a integrated multisensory program. We implemented that for grades K to 3. We're getting a lot of positive feedback. We're looking to see what our middle-of-the-year data shows for our grades K to 3 to see what the impact is going to be. Again, we took our beginning-of-the-year data. Our schools will be taking the middle-of-the-year assessment coming up next week, and we're going to look at that data, analyze it, and make instructional decisions like we've been doing. Again, small group instruction and reinstituting our RTI program, and of course, our balanced literacy as well. And at this time, we're going to have Dr. Beverly Jones present our math.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Happy New Year to all. I'll just continue with our data presentation. Are we into math? Okay, yes, we are in the math. All right, so 88% of our students tested in math, and we are performing at a 23%. 23% of our students have demonstrated proficiency. Now, we're nowhere near where we need to be, and we are not taking comfort in the fact that we are only 17% below the state. Across the state, the performance of students for grades 3 through 8, as you can see, has been very low. So this is not where we envision ourselves to be, and we are working and we're putting systems and resources and training in place to get us to a better place. Next slide, please. Oh, I do have the clicker. Ooh, I have the power. I'm not moving. Okay. So now let's look at grade 3. Our third graders have performed at a 40% rate compares to the state, only 8% less than the state. Again, this is not our plan. This is not where we take comfort. We take comfort in the into the 80s and 90s, and we're working very hard to get there. Our fourth graders, 23%, whereas the state was 43%. Our fifth graders, 20%, whereas the state was 34%. I don't know what happened. It's not me. It's over there. Okay, so we're back up. All right, now look at let's look. This is our next slide. Okay, there we go. This is grade 6 through 7, where we have 21% of our sixth graders compared to 38% of the state sixth graders. We have 13% of our seventh graders compared to 35% of the state seventh graders. Now let's look at Algebra 1. We have in district an Algebra for All program. Now we have 28% of our students that have reached proficiency in Algebra 1 regions in the 8th grade, and 81% across the state. Now some recognition across our district. We have Hamilton School outperforming the state average in grade 5. We have Lincoln School outperforming the state average in grades 3 and 4. We have Mount Vernon Honors outperforming the state in grade 6. Mount Vernon Leadership outperforming the state in grades 3 and 6. And Nelson Mandela outperforming the states in grade 3. Trepagan outperforming the states in grades 3, 6, and 8. So, as stated before, this is not our intended target. We have work to do. We have lots of work to do. And so we have put in place and are continuing to monitor these initiatives that are in place, and building and providing professional development and building teachers' capacity to drive the instruction as outlined in the curriculum map that has been aligned to the next generation standards. So when it comes on to lesson design, we have established lesson design in place. We have a curriculum map for every grade that's aligned to the next generation standards. We are emphasizing problem-solving methodologies, making sure our scholars can read the questions and pull the mathematics out of the questions to be able to answer the questions as intended. We're also emphasizing, we all know that mathematics goes through 3 phases. The concrete phases, that's where all of us learned mathematics by seeing, touching, feeling, moving around, manipulating. That's the first stage. That's how we learn. Second stage is a pictorial stage. This is where students are allowed to move from playing around with the math manipulatives to drawing pictures. And believe it or not, this stage is totally accepted in the state exam. And the final stage is the abstract stage. All right? So we are emphasizing that. So if you should walk through our classrooms, you will begin to see students are manipulating objects and making meaning and persevering in solving mathematical problems using our problem-solving tools. You will also see small group instructions highlighted in many buildings, and we are monitoring these buildings to make sure this is consistent across district, and we're hoping that these will move us forward to a better data presentation next year. Thank you.
The next slide. Okay, I'm going to present the district data summary of grade 4 and grade 8 living environment. So grade 4 science and grade 8 living environment, I should say, and where 90% of our students have tested and 56% of our students have demonstrated proficiency as compared to the New York State grade 8, whereas New York State is 71%. But we did disaggregate the next slide so you can see it more clearly of what it looks like versus grade 4 versus grade 8 in Mount Vernon City School District versus New York State. So grade 4 performance for Mount Vernon was at 69% on a grade 4 science exam versus the New York State average score of 80%, so we're a little bit below. And for our living environment exam, and I really want you to pay attention to this, as you can see, this is for our grade 8 students, we have scored 43% versus the New York State average of our grade 8 students of 79%. So as you can see, we're far off. And during the pandemic, you can see that the math and sciences have struggled. And this is New York's, this is statewide, countrywide. This is not a problem that's unique to Mount Vernon. So again, just pay attention to the living environment slide, and we want to talk about the improvement plan as part of Dr. BC's vision to redesign the curriculum. So action steps for improvement in science. We're looking to revise the science course sequence next year and provide professional development for the new courses that will be offered. So for example, our current program, as you look, is Living Environment 1 for all 7th graders right now, which is pretty much life science for all 7th graders, because in 8th grade, they'll be taking the Living Environment Part 2, which is the life science regions. So what we're going to do, we're going to phase that out. Next year, we are going to offer Science 7 for our 7th graders, which is a combination of life, earth, and physical science in order to bring back Science 8. However, we cannot bring back Science 8 next year because the current 7th graders are receiving living environment only life science. So they are more prepared for the living environment exam than they would be the Science 8 exam, because the Science 8 exam requires life, earth, and physical science, which they need 2 years of. So as you can see, for the 2023-2024 school year science course offering, for grade 7, we will have Science 7, no longer living environment. Next year, those students will continue to live in environment because that's the part 2 of the course that they're taking now. But in 2024-2025, we will have Science 7 for all grade 7 students. Grade 8 science, we're going to bring back the Science 8 exam, which composes of life, earth, and physical science. And we will still offer living environment. However, we will offer living environment to those students who can take this accelerated course and pass it. And they're going to have a criteria the ELA scores, I-ready scores, teacher recommendation. There's going to be a formula to put those students in those courses so we can set them up for success. And to close off the presentation, Dr. Jones is going to speak a little bit about attendance, and that will conclude the presentation.
We all know that students' performance gets better and better the longer we have qualified, certified teachers that are consistently in the classroom. Just want to share a little piece of data with you. Last year, 2021-2022 school year, 36% of our teachers were absent more than 10 days. Of that 36%, 16% of those teachers were absent for more than 18 days, 18 or more days. And this does not include the days granted for a positive COVID diagnosis. So with that data, I just want to spend a little bit of time to talk about the research. Now, the research shows that teachers are the most significant school-based inputs into students' learning. The research also shows that absences present a challenge for our school district. Just note that in business, excessive absences lead to a loss of productivity and can be made up in overtime. But in our case, in education, absences means a loss in student learning, which cannot be made up over time. There are significant costs involved, both in students' learning and the district budget. The research also shows that naturally teachers need to be physically present in the classroom to provide benefits to our scholars. When teachers miss school, substitute teachers need to be called in to cover the classes. Substitute teachers are not nearly as effective in promoting student learning because there is a disruption in the classroom instruction. Even with highly qualified, well-prepared substitute, students' learning is interrupted every time a teacher is out of the classroom. And a recent study shows that 10 teacher absences reduce students' achievement in math by 3%. So what do we do now that we have this research and we have this data? We are monitoring attendance. So because we need to keep teacher in front of students as much as possible, we have established a district-wide attendance committee. We are providing ongoing professional development for secretaries and first approvers in our attendance management system. A district attendance handbook is being created, and that will be placed in front of you pretty soon. We've asked principals to consistently address attendance at faculty meetings, to access and review attendance reports daily, weekly, monthly, to look for patterns of absences, and to consistently encourage regular attendance. So those are the things that we have in place to mitigate the issue of absences. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the superintendent's report. Moving on to committee reports. So we'll start with Trustee Adams.
We just got back, so nothing yet. But Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's.
Okay, that's a good one. Thank you. Trustee Lindsay?
We haven't had a security meeting since the last
You just got back too?
meeting.
Okay.
But we did have a facilities meeting the other day, and I believe we're going to have another one by the end of the month. At that, we discussed the situation with the Williams elevator, and I'm sorry. Sorry about that. As I was saying, we had a meeting recently. We have a meeting at the end of the month again. At that meeting, we discussed the situation with the second elevator, because it is actually a second elevator. It's kind of a handicap lift at Williams. And the snag that they're running into on that is pretty much a code issue where they have to, they started by wanting to repair it, but in the situation that they find themselves, repairing has to be brought up to code, and it's so far out of code that it's going to take a while to get that second lift going. They are working on it. I was speaking to Mr. Silver, and he gave me that information. What's up? Oh, I'm sorry, what? Okay. We also discussed a situation of a flood over at Steam. I believe it
Vernon High School?
at Mount Vernon, was it Mount Vernon High School?
Well, it was in the.
It was also, I'm showing the flood at Steam Academy, I remember discussing. And then we also have a situation right now that they're trying to combat over at the high school, which was caused by Steam, which has created a situation where they're very quickly over the holiday, we ended up with a mold situation. So last I just spoke to Mr. Silver on the way in here, I believe they're getting someone in, a contractor to come in to take care of it.
You have a time frame when that would be repaired? The room at the high school, we have a ETA on that?
I don't have it in front of me right now, but I don't know if either Mr. Silver or Nabil might be able to.
Oh, okay. Mr. Nabil, can you speak on that?
Good evening. My name is Nabil Botros, Director of Facilities. The leak at the high school medical room, the nurses' suite, we are going to get that cleaned up. It wasn't a typical flood situation. We had a leak from the ceiling, and we have to have asbestos abatement done on the floors, and we're going to give it a light remodeling. It's not overwhelmed with mold. It's a simple cleanup, but we do have to have asbestos abatement. And just as a preventative measure, we're going to take out the walls at the bottom, the top 18 inches. The time frame for completing that project, I would estimate no less than 6 or 7 weeks, because it's going to have to be remodeled. Ceiling, walls, floors, and including asbestos abatement.
While you're up there, can you please, we're all the one committee, so
Okay.
we all might jump in. The fire alarm situation, I know it's just in 2 schools, but do we have a time frame?
Yeah.
Do we have a time frame on that?
So now it's just one school. The Lincoln School fire alarm needs a complete replacement. So Mr. Silver signed off on the fee proposal for the design, so it needs to go through design and construction. And so for the time being, until that system is replaced, we're going to have the building on fire watch overnight. The Graham School alarm is fixed. So now we've pretty much fixed all of the alarms that are fixable and have to replace the one that cannot be repaired, and that's the Lincoln fire alarm. We're submitting it as an emergency project with the State Education Department, so we'll do design and construction concurrent with project submittal, and that's going to take a few months. We have to replace all of the devices and upgrade the system to the current code and have speakers and strobes and everything, so that's probably a 3-month time frame.
Excuse me, what do you mean fire watch?
Why do we need fire watch?
No, what is
So that-
fire watch?
Yeah, the New York State Fire Code doesn't specifically require it 24 hours a day, but we need a fire watch to protect the building. In case a fire breaks out, we have no detection devices to inform us of a fire, and so in order to protect the building, we need to have someone present to survey the building regularly, routinely, every hour, and make sure to be a human smoke detector, to tell you the truth. And we have to have that. It's a requirement. It's up to the Mount Vernon Fire Department to specify exactly the times of coverage, and depends on the danger in the building, the combustibility, the contents. So Maybe we can switch to doing fire watch only when the building is occupied, but then we'd have a risk of a fire breaking out and actually damaging the building. So for now, we're always going to listen to what the Mount Vernon Fire Department wants, and they want a full 24-hour fire watch. So a log is being kept, and rounds are being conducted, and we're going to have to do the fire watch until the fire alarm is completely replaced.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait a minute, Mr. Bill.
That's okay. Nabil, it's fine. Go Tris.
I read a report from you, I guess you sent it to us, and it was saying that the drills were not conducted this year from all schools, because I know as a
Nope.
former teacher,
They
we
are.
had to do 12 drills, but 8 had to be done before December.
Yeah. So drills are being conducted this year. The uploading of the fire drill data is for the previous year, and that is done concurrent with the fire safety inspection report. So we just had our annual fire safety inspection in the district schools. The drill data we upload with that is last year's data. The problem really was in the collection of the data. We had a consultant on board to collect that data. Schools were uploading it to a consulting firm's website. We don't have that contract anymore, so Mr. Silver was successful in getting batch data from that firm, and we're just parsing it to be able to upload that. But right now, we are doing our drills, and we're assembling the data here, which is what we need to do and keep it in-house, and that data will be needed for next year's annual fire inspection report upload.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, nothing. I have nothing to say. You do have something to say. Today? Yes. Aren't you excited?
I'm so excited.
I'm very excited. To think.
Okay, can you hear me?
No.
Okay, sorry. I'm very excited to share with you that we had a meeting with our partners, first Mr. Noel Campbell of CTE, and teachers that will be, we have a pilot program we're bringing into the high school for the entrepreneurship. I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to give away too many details. Very excited about it. We're partnering with Scarsdale and Iona University. And it looks like if we do it, it could be very impactful in our district and for our students and their lives, not just their educational, but long-term. And there will also be, I don't know if it's facilities or whatever, the auction. Can I talk about that?
Okay.
All right, I will not talk about that, but I'll just talk about the pilot program and pass it off to somebody else. I'm sorry.
Oh. Well, okay, so I'll go to trustee Yale. Nothing? Trustee Needs? Nothing? Okay.
So, good evening, everyone. I want to report on the budget. From the Budget Committee, we met on, can you hear me? Sorry. Come closer. Okay. So we met on December 28th, was our last budget meeting. And for the next couple of weeks, the Budget Committee plans to meet with the directors of special ed education and PBS regarding current work and expectation for next year. We also plan to meet with the Assistant for Climate and Culture regarding security status and budget needs. We plan to meet with Facility Director to discuss priorities for next year. This will also include the energy costs review. Over the next couple of weeks, we plan to meet with Transportation and Food Service departments to review contracts and plans for next year. We also plan to discuss contracts and expectation for benefit expenses. We plan to meet with also over the next couple of weeks, building level expenses, building requests for textbooks and other needs, including staffing from the principals. Our first public presentation for the budget will be in February, the first meeting in February. And that's it from the Budget Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. So I want to follow up on Trustee Kelly's committee report from today. We met with a teacher from Scarsdale, with Noel Campbell, the CT director, and some of the other staff in the business office at the high school. And we talked about partnering with Iona University in Scarsdale with some of our students to go there on February 2nd. It's a Tuesday from 3 to 5:30, so we need to secure busing for 24 students and maybe some chaperones to visit the campus up there. And what she does is she does a pop-up, what does she do? She does some type of social entrepreneurship class. And she's going to show our students how to raise awareness about entrepreneurship. And what they could do is show students maybe some of their, we talked about some of the students that came here that designed hats. And our goal is to have some of our high school, the new Mount Vernon High School students, design some gear to, maybe they can wear their own gear that has Mount Vernon High School, and that would be a good way, and I don't want to give away that. Okay. So we're looking to do a showcase at some point, and maybe do some type of Shark Tank kind of thing, and give some students some prizes, and just raise their ability to try to do some more entrepreneurship. So that's all I'm going to say for right now, but I need to secure a bus February 2nd to go to Iona. I think that's on North Avenue. I'll get the exact address, from 3 to 5:30. New Rochelle, yes. We're partnering with Lisa from Scarsdale High School, and she's also a professor at Iona University. So that's it for me for committee. Now we could start with old business. Any old business?
I'll take it. I just want to report that tonight, 8 students from the STEAM Academy attended the ACE cohort session at Con Ed downtown. And on the 31st, we're going to ask the gentleman that introduced the program to me to bring it into the school district. We're going to ask him to come in and do a presentation, Dr. BC, if that's okay. So it was good news that the 8 students that registered, they were able to attend today. So that's very good news. Thank you.
Any more old business? Follow up? Say whatever you want. I'm not putting a muzzle on you.
All right, so I'm not being censored.
No.
I'm wondering what happened to the resolution for the head custodial.
Mr. Silver is going to put that in. Rita can't do it while she has board not
Okay,
live,
I
so
just
we're
didn't
gonna
understand why we
Go
weren't.
into exec, we'll come back out.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah, so if you guys are okay without, Any other
Mr.
old
Gale,
business?
I heard that your program for the recycling will be starting very shortly. Can you speak on that?
Let's speak on that. Yes. Yes, Mr. Silver and I communicated with Anna, and she will be, I guess Mr. Silver has more information this week. She's here already, right. So we put her in
started
touch with
already.
some of the principals, and she started, I guess, this week, right? I think this week. Yes. So we can, I guess, we should see the benefit. I think it's going to be beneficial, so, yes. Thanks again.
Can I just bring up some old business from, old business from like last year, or maybe like 5 years ago? Some trustees and I have always talked about having a night school, after school. So I've gotten approached by a lot of people in business as far as, they want to teach kids how to sew, they want to teach kids stock markets, they want to teach kids business. And I asked the principal if, do we need to have these people, business professionals, do they have to be certified in order to teach students anything? So the answer was no, as long as they have a certified teacher in the classroom. Is that correct? Because what we'd like to do is have some students, if they are interested in learning how to sew, learning about the stock market, learning entrepreneurship.
If you're going to use the New York State money, then they have to be certified. That's a fact. If you're going to use money from New York State.
So it's
However, if you use it from the budget, I'm not sure if they have to be certified. Marcy, you want to take that?
Or do they have to be in a union?
Are we talking about adult education in the evening or just extended day programs?
Well, if anybody that's,
I think it's more like extended day, though.
okay.
Right. So, but I'm not sure. If it depends on where the funding is coming from, though. But I know if it's New York State funding, you have to have certified folks. If you're taking it from a general budget, I'm not so sure the person has to be certified. But we can look into that.
Can you find out, please?
Yeah,
Because
but-
we've
but-
been approached many times about helping students.
Yes, and you and I had spoken about this a couple of times too. And there's a place that I have in mind that we want to use in the afternoon to do something like that. But we'll talk, in executive session about that.
The other thing is, we have a few boutiques in the district. I know I donated some things to the high school, and there's some a place at Benjamin Turner. And is it possible to give people that donate some type of tax write-off? Is it possible to give somebody something that says, they can use it as a tax write-off or something?
That I don't know, but we would like people to donate. Judy's Closet is at PTMS and Mount Vernon High School, so we really want people to donate. But as a matter of tax write-off, that I'm going to have to research that. I don't want to say we're going to do it and then it happens that we can't. But the donation, we really, really want. Because Judith Closet is at Benjamin Turner and Mount Vernon High School. As you can see, they have their own closet there. But I will, next board meeting, I'll come back with those answers.
The other thing is cheerleaders. The cheerleaders that wanted to go on that trip, are we going to help them, or do you know where they are with that, or do we need a resolution? What's going on with that?
Okay.
Does anybody know anything about that?
What I can tell you about the cheerleaders is that, as you know, they're doing this GoFundMe page. A lot of people do not want to donate to the GoFundMe page because GoFundMe takes 15%. So what we're trying to do, we are trying to organize more or less, and I have to see the treasurer, that we could have an account here where people can donate checks and stuff to the cheerleading account. But I'm going to have to talk to the treasurer and get some more details on that, because people are willing to donate. They have called me up and said, you can have my check, but I'm not going to put it into GoFundMe.
I feel the same way. I don't do GoFundMe.
Right.
I think Mr. Silver had some input. Did you, Mr. Silver?
We did meet with the Lisa Mason, who is the activities advisor at the high school, and we've been working with Chase to establish a separate account within our accounts that will be just for the cheerleaders. And so that just happened yesterday, and so that's being set up now, and we will give you the information on that people can donate directly to that account.
And the last thing I have is mental health. We need to have a discussion in the district about mental health for students, teachers, staff, administrators. Everybody's burnt out from COVID and stressed out, and we need to figure out a way that we can accommodate mental health, a mental health awareness, mental health day, mental health hour. What can we do? What other
Yes,
districts
we
do? Because
looked-
this is not new.
Yeah, we looked at the ARP funds last week, and we had some funding that we had there for COVID, and funny enough that you should say that, we decided that we are going to transfer it over to help with the mental health situation. I know Miss Fernanda Cavallo went to work with Dr. Pierce because he had some issues over there that he want mental health, and I asked her to come up with a district plan to see how we can help all the other schools and all the stakeholders, because parents, students, and Our staff needs that.
So she'll have a update for us at the next board meeting?
Yes, by the 31st, yes.
Okay, all right. That's all I have. We'll go to resolutions.
Okay. Can I have a motion, please, for Human Resources 5.1, approval of Human Resources Resolution 74A, certified? I need a motion,
Motion?
and I need a second.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All those in favor?
Wait, I have a question
Oh, okay.
about it. I see, I know that, are we fully staffed in special education? I don't know who to direct it to, which doctor to direct this question to, or human resources, I'm not really sure. But are we fully staffed? I see that we're hiring, 2 new people, well, one, but one. Speech pathologist, is that, are we fully staffed, basically, what's that, in each building? Do we have the,
We have buildings that are fully staffed, but we are not fully staffed. We've had a lot of new students come in, and so I'm sure you've seen a lot of new teaching assistants. What we did finally fully staff was our administrative team. In terms of there was a time that we had a number of special ed supervisor vacancies. Those are all full. Unfortunately, just as you see that we hired a teacher, we rescinded a hire of a special education teacher on the same resolution. So we fill up for a day,
You know me, right?
and the next day we're not.
do we ever have exit interviews when people leave the district? I'm just asking, I really don't know how things are done, so that's an innocent question. Please don't attack me.
On the teachers, well, what we do with accept administrators from HR, we do an exit survey because it's a large number of people and it's just me. So we do collect surveys, and administrators meet with the superintendent.
But I also want to let you know that I do my own exit interview with the individual folks. Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Okay, motion carries. Can I have a motion for 5.2, Human Resources Resolution 74B, classified? I need a motion.
Motion?
Questions, concerns, discussions? All those in favor?
Aye. There was a resolution I wanted to pull for discussion, and I don't remember which one, I didn't write the number down. And it was an HR resolution, so I don't want to vote on it.
Only 2 of them. It's either 74B or 74A.
Go back to discuss.
That might be the second one. Open that up. Open that up.
This one? This one?
No, right in here.
74A?
74A. I think that's what we just voted on. Let's see.
Ms. Tiggs, I have a question about, is there a pathway to employment, full-time employment for certain positions that are per
So it's not
diem
this
or
one.
temporary?
So I'm gonna pull
Is there a pathway to
it'll be the next
working
one.
fully for the district is my question.
74.
So there's no absolute pathway. Nonetheless, once someone is an employee of the district, they receive all the internal postings. They do post. I always tell per diem employees, substitute teachers, student teachers, these are real live auditions, right? Who come in, do your best, and that's going to outweigh anything that you say when you're sitting in an interview. So they are given
This is the one
preference and consideration. So when we had security vacancies, I sent the principals the names of the per diem employees and said, if you see any of these applicants, please give them consideration for an interview first.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
So I want to pull 74B for discussion and exec, please.
Can I have a motion to table 5.2 until after executive session? Motion? Second? All those in favor?
Excuse me, isn't it 7.4? 74B classified, that's resolution 5.2. Right, I think she said 5 by accident. 5.2.
It's 7.4. It's the same thing.
It's the same one, yeah.
sorry.
That's the one we're on.
5 point,
Sorry.
that's okay.
Because when I read it, it was 7. Yeah, I think
Okay.
this thing's moved around.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
All those in favor to table until after executive session? Okay. Oppose? Abstain? Okay, motion carries to pull 5.2. Okay. Can I have a motion for 5.3? Approval to abolish the title Director of Business and Grants.
Motion. Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for Curriculum and Instruction, 6.1, authorization for Grimes School to travel to Chester, New York?
Motion. Motion, second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 6.2, authorization for Mount Vernon STEAM Academy to visit the National Winter Activity Center, Vernon, New Jersey? Motion?
Motion.
Questions, concerns, discussion?
So we have oh, these are lift tickets for the thing. I thought it was lift ticket. Okay, no questions.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for school improvement? 7.1, authorization to approve the Northeast STEAM Starter Academy, NSSA, after-school program and science and engineer research fair. Motion?
Motion.
Questions, concerns, discussions?
It's a fair? What, I'm sorry, I missed that one. It's a, what is it? Yeah, I know. It's a curriculum after school? And it's been in the district before?
For 9 years.
Okay. That's what, okay, that's it, that's my question.
All those in, yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Okay, motion carries. Can I have a motion for 7.2, authorization to approve a Youth Leadership Institute at Lincoln School?
Motion. Second.
Okay. Questions, concerns, discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 7.3, authorization to approve the SEED, Special Education Extended Day Program, and the FOCU SED for our Children's Unique Social Emotional Development Program?
Motion. Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions?
What, is this a program that's already been in the district?
Yes.
And what is it? Can we get some more information on it?
It's two special ed programs that came out of the ARP funding.
Okay.
Right, and as a result of that, I think Dr. Corpus is the one who's running those two programs.
I believe she wrote a curriculum for him, didn't she?
Yeah, she
So we
did.
do have a curriculum we can look
Yes.
at? I would like, yeah, all right, I just wanted to, thank you.
It's for kids for autism.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 7.4, authorization to pay stipend for Pipeline to College Partnership Program with Lehman College 2023 spring semester?
Motion.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions?
Yes, I'd like to know more about this program.
Okay, this is from the grant, Pipeline to College Partnership with Students in Lehman College. And this is like the fourth year? Yeah, this is what, right. Dr.
It's the
Lee.
fourth year that this has been in the district.
Yes, I was in the Pipeline to College program starting, yeah, my first year. STEAM. I took science, computer science, and it's been very, very, very helpful in my recent college applications, having classes from an actual college on my transcript. So, yes.
Very good.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Okay, motion carries. Can I have a motion for 8.1, Student Services, approval of Student Service Pupil Personnel Services Memorandum Number 12, dated January 10th, 2023. Need a motion? Okay. Second?
Second.
Question, concerns, discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. On the Business Office, can I have a motion for 9.1, approve the settlement tax proceeding for Payfran Realty LLC? Need a motion?
Motion.
What was that? Okay.
Wanda and I.
Questions, concerns, discussions?
I have a question. In order to get a stipend, does the job have to be posted? Should it be posted? Is it supposed to be posted?
No, we're on 9.1.
No, no, what, the stipend?
No, she's. No, she.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, she was looking at, 7, it's a 4, authorization to stipend pipeline. Is that the one you were talking about?
Right. No, the tax collection.
This is settlement.
Oh, that's something else with the tax.
You probably got to refresh.
Oh, I still have it.
Oh, you have to refresh.
Oh, okay, sorry.
It's okay, that's for you.
Sure. Good evening. All 5 of these resolutions are tax certiorari or tax refund for the years going from 2016 to 2022, depending upon which one it is. They total all about $290,000 in repayments. We do have money in our reserves, restricted reserves, to pay for some of these, but those transfers do not take place until the end of the school year. So when the auditors come in to audit the books for the current year, they then take restricted monies to offset some of these costs. We do not budget for certiorari's because we have no idea what those costs may be. And it's been the board's action in almost all the years when we've had extra money in reserves to designate money to be restricted just for the purpose of offsetting the costs of the certiorari's. So the total of these is about $290, and we won't know what will be offset until a few months from now. But this is our cost right now. So these are all Ingram and Smith recommended. These all have a portion of this for a consent judgment and not to have further litigation. We participate in these with the city of Mount Vernon, although our share of all of these is about 2/3 of the refund to the taxpayers. So all this is based on reduction in assessments on these commercial, or it could be residential, but on these properties.
So I have a question. How much was reserved in the budget for these?
So it was not reserved this past year, and we don't know whether we'll be able to do it in the current year, but there's about $2 to $3 million currently in the reserves, but the money can only be used for a specific year that it's identified. So if the board puts away money in 2018, like $1 million, which we did do, it could only be used to offset the costs for judgments or settlements for that year. So if something had 5 different years of judgments, which some of these do, you could only offset the cost for the year that's specifically designed in the,
Within the year,
in
tax
the-
year?
that's right.
Okay, thank you.
All those in favor? Oppose? Abstain? Okay, motion carries. Do I have a motion for 9.2, approves the settlement tax proceeding for 36 Quarter LLC and BCD Commercial LLC?
Motion. Second.
Okay, questions, concerns, discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Okay, motion carries. Can I have a motion for 9.3, approve the settlement tax proceedings for Highland Manor?
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 9.4, approve the settlement tax proceeding for Don Realty Company, Inc.?
Motion.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 9.5, approve the settlement tax proceeding for 159 East Third Street Corp.? Need a motion?
Motion.
Motion. Second.
Questions, concerns, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Okay, motion carries. Okay, that ends our resolutions. We're going to go into.
We're going to go into executive session to discuss, I want you to say, 'cause I don't know.
Can I have a motion to enter into executive session for the purpose of exploring settlement and personnel issues? Motion? And
Second. We will come back to take action later, so let's say about an hour. You think it'll be an hour?
Yep.
To come back to vote on, whatever. Yeah, to vote on the resolution for an hour. I'm going to say an hour just to be safe, because some people may ask questions, okay? So we'll be back at 9 o'clock.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Okay, motion carries.